Hello and welcome to the Charles River Conservancy Parkland Show. My name is Renata von Scharner. I'm the founder and president of the Charles River Conservancy, and we are advocates of the parklands along the urban Charles, and we want to make sure people can bike safely, swim safely, do landscaping safely, and today we're going to talk about bicycling safely. So, welcome to David Montague. It's wonderful to have you here, David.
Well, thank you for having me.
And David is an inventor of bikes. He produces bikes, the Montague bikes. But today we're going to talk about his civic invention called Park&Pedal. Now, David, what is Park&Pedal?
Well, Park&Pedal is a multimodal commuting method. And it basically combines driving and cycling together. And so it's sort of park and ride, except for instead of with buses and trains, you use bicycles. So you drive to a certain location, you park your car, and then you bicycle from there.
All right. Now, how did you come up with this idea?
Well, Montague Bikes makes foldable bikes, and I've been parking and pedaling for about 20-some years, 25, 26 years.
So that means you don't need a bike rack on the back of your car. You can just fold it and put it in the boot.
In the boot, in the trunk, as we say here.
All right.
So I've been doing, I've lived west of Boston. There are some areas crossing the Massachusetts Turnpike that are not very bicycle friendly. So I typically, for many, many years, I've been driving my car, plus I have kids, so drop them off wherever, and then drive down to the river, park my car at various places along the Charles River, and then ride my bicycle all the way into Cambridge, where my office is.
And that's of course how I met you, because one of the bike routes, and we will have images of that, are along the Charles River, and beautiful from Herder Park to downtown wherever you work. And then you also became an advocate to make that bike route better. So you have been advocating on many fronts. So this is the definition of what Park&Pedal is.
Well, so the current network, so Park&Pedal originated, I just was doing it myself, and then I thought, it's so silly, I'm riding this beautiful route along the river, and all these cars are stuck in, rush hour traffic, and burning fossil fuels. Why aren't they doing what I'm doing? And so I decided that it might be a situation of if you build it, they will come. If you make a program, if you make an official program and make sure it's free, then others will do it.
Yeah.
And so we made the program, which is, as you saw just a minute ago, it basically is a network of parking areas that are conveniently located cycling distance from areas of employment, mostly downtown Boston and Kendall Square.
So it's what, 5 to 10 miles roughly?
In that range, yes. Anywhere from 3 miles to 10 miles is sort of the sweet spot. People don't like to ride too far, but they would like to ride for some exercise.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see here. So you did this is the first in America, you say, I think, and
Absolutely.
You did some research of the average commute being 12 miles.
Right. So the research, actually, the average U.S. commuter is the U.S. Department of Transportation. In the U.S., the average commuter commutes 12 miles to work every day. The average, but our research was most people in Boston, we haven't done the entire U.S., but most people in Boston would like to ride in the neighborhood of 3 to 6 miles. That was the box they checked in the survey. And so it's very difficult to, if you live 12 miles from work, how are you going to ride your bike if the average person wants to ride 3 to 6 miles? And so thus, what Park&Pedal does is it alleviates that disconnect. I don't know if we can, yes, so it basically provides a manageable step towards bicycle commuting. So basically, you're getting people the ability to go to riding their bike without forcing them to ride the whole way. The second challenge that they face in parking and pedaling, or in riding their bike, let me back up a second.
Okay.
We would love people to ride their bikes the whole way to work. That would be ideal. But people just don't, most people don't feel comfortable doing that in this country. And so the two things that they face are the distance is too great, because America's a big country.
And a spread out country.
It's very much spread out.
Spread out communities, yeah.
And then the second thing is that they find that the route that they have from their home to their office is a high stress route. They don't like riding in traffic in urban environments. And so what Park&Pedal does in the next slide is it provides locations that are near or on bicycle-friendly routes. So it offers a less stressful bike commuting solution. And in fact, we've had situations where people will drive laterally, not to get closer to work, but just drive over to a Park&Pedal spot, park their car, and then ride more conveniently along the river or whatever.
It's also free parking.
It's also free parking. The whole program is free, which is a great thing.
Yeah.
So this is anecdotal chart here. It's not not based on data, but the dotted green line shows if you well, actually, the x-axis is commuting time. The y-axis is commuting distance. So if you ride your bike, which is the dotted green line, all the way from home, bottom left corner to the top right corner, it can take a long time. The driving is represented in red. If you drive your car from home, oftentimes in the suburbs you're making very good time as you're going along initially, but then you hit the stop and start traffic, the quote last mile area, and so you're burning huge amount of fossil fuels. You're not making very good progress. And so the key is the next slide, where it basically to locate Park&Pedal hubs in that area where they can make good time in the suburbs, but then in the area where they're burning a huge amount of fossil fuels near the city, in the last mile, we provide, and last mile is a loose term. It's not referencing actually 1 mile. It's you know, it's the last mile where you're getting into traffic and everything.
And the good thing, I bike everywhere, and it's nice to know, even when the city is packed with cars, you can pretty much calculate when you will be arriving and you have a parking spot. So it's a very predictable thing. So now, how does that now look? How does it look in reality? What you have created?
Well, it's a different system. So I mentioned earlier Park and Ride. So Park and Ride is a wonderful thing because it gets people, again, that last mile challenge. It gets them out of their cars, their single occupancy car, and into buses and trains, which are much more efficient and lower emissions.
Although eventually you still have to work from the bus station or the train station.
Absolutely,
and with the bike you don't have that. Yeah.
Yes, and the other challenge, obviously, with Park and Ride is that you have the infrastructure requirements of building train tracks and paying for buses and all of that. So that's hugely labor intensive, hugely infrastructure heavy. The beauty of Park&Pedal is that it's a little bit more, it's a little bit more like a zip car model, where because there are almost no infrastructure requirements, we use existing underutilized parking areas. So we're not building new parking, we are using existing underutilized parking Monday through Friday. So you can have, and the locations can be much smaller. You don't have to have, 1,000 cars in one spot to justify a train.
Until your program gets really big.
Well, yeah, but the cyclists are much more able, as you said. They don't have to. It's easier to get from A to B by biking than by walking. So if you have 10 spots in one location, 5 spots in another location, 20 spots, if the locations are convenient, then people will use them.
Now, I know I'm a Hubway bike user as well, and there's an app that tells you where the bike's available and where the empty spots. Is there something similar for you yet, or you're getting to that?
I think you're looking a few years down the road.
Okay, all right.
Certainly, because again, the program is totally free, so you can go to any Park&Pedal hub that we have and park there. So because it's free, there's no revenue in it to put in fancy infrastructure to know whether there's a car there yet.
Right.
But maybe someday.
Yeah. Now, you have some wonderful images here of the potential of Park&Pedal. So tell us what you have found here.
Well, this is actually a Cambridge network master plan where they've identified that about 10% in the red you can see of people are they're basically enthusiastic and confident cyclists, and about 30% of people surveyed are no way, no how. They are not going to get on a bicycle. It doesn't matter if you pay them $1 million; they're just not going to do it.
Yeah, you can tell from his face.
Yeah,
Well,
and that's fine. But there's a full 60% of us who basically are interested but concerned. We would like to ride our bikes to work. We would like to use bicycles as transportation, not just as recreation, but we're worried about it.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's where there's a huge potential there. 60% of all people surveyed said they would like to ride their bikes, but they're concerned about, it's too far, or the route is
not
not
attractive.
comfortable,
Yeah.
or whatever it is. So that's
Yeah.
so we think there's a huge potential there for because it's the majority of the population.
Yeah. So the first one was launched just across the Charles River, and we have on the right we have Senator Brownsberger and Secretary Matt Beaton. Now I think that was Fisk, but the one in blue is Secretary Beaton, and then we have Secretary of Transportation Pollock, and then it's you in your glasses, and Representative Honan. So you had the full political support. That's
Yes.
wonderful.
Yes, and the thing that they're cutting there are used inner tubes from used bicycle tires. So it was kind of fun. That was our quote unquote ribbon cutting.
Oh, it's a little video actually.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
a little,
yeah.
it's a
That's
gift.
great.
So yeah, it was quite fun. So we did that. Signs went up for the first official program in the sort of fall of 2014. And then by summer of 2015, we had a big sort of celebration party, which you saw the image there, and that was a lot of fun. And we had huge number of people come, but also, so we provided free food and everything, and it was a lot of fun.
It was great.
And people were very excited about it.
Now you're expanding it into. You have now 19 locations, and you have about another 20 in the works around Boston.
Well, we hope. This is our current network. We call them hubs, and as you can see, if you're coming in from the west of Boston, so Boston, it's kind of hard to see on the map, but Boston is there, and on the west side of Boston, we have a fairly good representation. On the north, we're fairly good. On the Minuteman Bike Trail, we've got, you can see up in Bedford, they've been very supportive and they've put in locations up there. So you can come in along the Minuteman and to the Alewife and come in that way.
Yeah.
We're very weak in the city of Boston and from the south, quite honestly. So we're looking at putting additional locations down there. As well as we would like to do it in other parts of the state.
Yeah, I mean the Southwest Corridor, it would be a wonderful way in if you could find.
Absolutely,
lots
and
there.
bike paths are being developed as we speak, so obviously that's also a good thing.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's wonderful. Now, you got some wonderful press about this event, and obviously the Globe covered it extensively, which they should. I think it's wonderful. Well, Stephen Neer is a great writer, and WBUR, and you had wonderful press. So I think it would be, we might just run through the wonderful press you got, national press.
Yeah, I'd say on that, Associated Press did, this is a smaller version of the article, but they did an extensive, in-depth article about Park&Pedal that ran globally in something in the neighborhood of 300 publications.
Wow.
To the tune of 100 million people saw it.
Wow.
So it was quite exciting. So we really, because I think people recognize the value of getting people out of their cars and onto their bikes.
Yeah.
So we're very excited about that.
So let's speak a little bit. You obviously already expanded in Boston. You expand more, and I understand you have. It's already the whole country of Denmark is looking at it. Tell us a little bit about the international expansion plans.
Well, all we are doing is encouraging. We're not nonprofit, so it's purely just encouraging others to do.
Park&Pedal is a non-profit.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
so,
as you said, it's no revenue source.
Right.
Yeah, it's your idea that's traveling the world.
Right. I mean, it's not every day you get to coin a whole new mode of transportation, so it's very exciting. But nonetheless, it is challenging with no revenue, and so. For example, we're encouraging, as you mentioned, the country of Denmark to do it. Two major cities in the U.S. are considering just about to launch programs, and I won't steal their thunder by telling about who they are. But for example, about a month ago, the capital of Australia launched Park&Pedal in Australia. So it's definitely going. New Zealand's
going around the world.
Talked to us about
it.
So it's going pretty much around the world.
Good.
And so we're very excited about that.
Good. Now obviously you're a bicyclist, you produce bicycles, you know what the benefits are, but let's look at what the benefits are.
Sure. Well, so for commuters, it's quite clear that it's healthy for you, right? So if you ride a bike, it's much better than sitting, in your car, not doing anything. It can save you time, certainly. As time goes on, more and more traffic is gridlocked. The Mass Turnpike is horrible.
Yeah.
So it saves time.
It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse all the time. It will never get better.
No, definitely not.
No.
It saves money and all of that. So for employers, obviously you get a healthier, more productive employees. If you're doing, we're encouraging people to do a program. For example, if you've got a location in Kendall Square, we're like, don't provide parking in Kendall Square. Provide parking somewhere out of town that's your own parking lot, and have your employees ride in. They're happier, healthier, more productive. You save. Kendall Square parking is $400 a space every month for one employee. So don't pay that. Give some of that to the employee, incentivize them to Park&Pedal. So it's a great way to attract.
And there's the whole environmental thing, and I would like you to speak to that, because I think not everybody knows how much emission a car produces. I think that is really powerful information.
And so this is something that we feel strongly about, that if we can get one person out of their car and on their bike for 1 mile, that saves 1.1 pounds of carbon dioxide emissions. And 1.1 pounds is equivalent to almost 10 square feet of, which is a big space, right? That's a huge amount. So we're excited by that. Our one location at Herder Park, which is right on the Charles River, has saved in the last year 510,000 pounds or 4.3 million cubic feet of carbon dioxide. Or 28 million gallons. I mean, it's a huge amount in that one location out of 19 locations. So we're very proud of that. Now, some people say, oh, but people are still driving. Yes, they are still driving, but we like to, we're saving a huge amount, and we're hoping that then maybe next time, after a while of going to a closer in Park&Pedal lot, they'll drive a shorter distance to a further out Park&Pedal lot and ride their bike further. So it's very exciting. This is an image of just how much, and there's not a scale in there, but you can see the size of that. That's the amount of carbon dioxide that one commuter produces in one day on average. It's a huge amount, and so we are saving a tremendous amount of carbon dioxide emissions, and so we're very excited about it.
And this, you had that out at Herder Park at the event, and now it's in the Mass DOT lobby downtown. I think it's very powerful, these
Yes.
images. Yeah.
Secretary Pollock, who's been absolutely instrumental in getting this all done, saw that box at the event that we had and said, I have to have that for my lobby. And so, because it really drives home the point that we're producing a lot of carbon dioxide. People don't realize. They just get in their car, turn it on and go. It's so easy, and they don't realize how much carbon dioxide they are actually producing.
Yeah.
So that really drives home the point.
Yeah.
So.
If you just joined us, this is the Charles River Conservancy Parkland Show. And if you missed the beginning, you can go to YouTube in 2 days and get the show there. This is David Montague for Park&Pedal. But we have a little bit more. Tell us also who else has been involved. The Herder Park belongs to the DCR. So who has been involved at the DCR?
Well, at DCR, certainly a number of Secretary Beaton, who's at EEA, oversees DCR, and Nick Connors at DCR has been very instrumental. As I mentioned, Secretary Pollock, who is Mass DOT, all transportation in the state of Massachusetts, she has been absolutely instrumental in getting this going. So we owe a huge debt of gratitude to her for doing that. And
it's a partnership between DCR and the Department of Transportation. I think it's wonderful that the paths along the Charles are now officially commuting routes for that Mass DOT considers routes for commuting. So I think that's
by bicycle, yes.
By bicycle,
yes.
and that's a huge step forward.
Yes,
because
we're very
they
excited.
contribute so much. That was the invention of Dr. Paul Dudley White, the cardiologist of President Eisenhower. So we are in debt. And I would like to add a little bit a component, because you also came to testify at an event we had where we are promoting bicycling along the Charles River on the Boston side without having to cross bridges. And you see and read all the red bridges, and you came to an event where we advocated for that, and here is the Anderson Bridge. And that's an example of how somebody who uses Park&Pedal in Herder Park could just go through the abutment and on to downtown.
Yes, well, sadly what we're looking at here is an artist's rendering of the Anderson Bridge, not the actual Anderson Bridge.
Yeah.
We would love, it's some of the crossings, Western Avenue in particular, and
River
Anderson,
Street is
River Street is
really bad
just
one.
horrible. And so it's really imperative, that we all keep up the pressure to, to get those underpasses done, because the Charles River is just a tremendous spot to ride your bike, to walk, to whatever, until you have to cross one of those streets, and then it's not so exciting.
And I remember I asked you, are there any Park&Pedal along the Charles, along the urban Charles? He says, there shouldn't be any. Nobody should be driving a car there. Everybody should be biking, so all the hops should be outside. So
absolutely, yes. We want to stop the cars before they get into the city.
Yeah.
So by the time they get into the area of the Charles River Conservancy, everyone should be on their bikes by then. And so, ultimately, 20 years from now, hopefully DCR will have, a much smaller, narrower lanes for cars and much broader lanes for bicycles.
Yeah, yeah. So if you want to find out more about Park&Pedal, here is the website. So that's how you can find out how the system is expanding, and
where the convenient hubs are for you.
Yeah.
So you can just go to parkandpedal.org and click on the map.
Yeah.
And see where, and it tells, and people can comment and say, oh, this is great for going to here or here. So it's a great source for
Great.
information.
Well, David, thank you for being a great bike advocate. As a bicyclist myself, I much appreciate that. And it has been wonderful to work with you on that. And it looks like you're really expanding very fast and all over the world. So
Yes, we're very excited, and
it's
you
very
certainly
good.
are a cyclist on the way here.
Yeah, and Mass Bike supports you.
Renata passed me on the way, so on her bike.
Well, it's great. It's great to have you here, and I wish you a lot of success. And if you want to find out more about the Charles River Conservancy, here is the information. As you might have heard, we built a skate park, we're building a swim park, we have 2,000 volunteers if that is something that interests you, and bicycle advocacy is very important for us. We want to make it easier to bicycle along the river, but to have partners like you, David, makes it really a pleasure, because that's exactly what we need. Kind of very just a no-cost, innovative idea, and what a difference it makes in terms of energy and well-being and joy. I ride maybe 50 to 60 minutes a day, and that's my exercise. That's the fun I have. So thank you for doing that. And now we will go onto our bikes and ride on to our next destination. And thank you for watching the show. You can find many other shows on YouTube about swimming and volunteering and skateboarding and swimming. So follow us, and we are also a non-profit and a membership organization, so you can support our work. And thank you for watching. Thank you, David.
Thank you very much for having me.